Welcome to the Rotary Times Show, a public service program presented by Rotary District 7610. On our programs, we talk with Rotarians and community leaders and discuss how Rotary International builds partnerships to support local, national, and world communities. I am your host, Rotarian Dr. Deborah Jackson from the Rotary Club of McLean, Virginia. The success of a Rotary Club is dependent on the club president. They lead, inspire, motivate, and connect their communities with locally, other businesses, and around the world. Joining me remotely is Rotarian Todd Ruopp, who is the new president of the Rotary Club of Alexandria, Central Virginia, for the 24-25 Rotary year. Welcome, President Todd, to the Rotary Times Show.
Hi, Deborah. Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. We're excited to always host our clubs throughout the district to hear the things that you're doing, and because we know you're transforming Rotary, so it's always a good thing. Yeah. So let's go ahead and get started. And we're going to start by asking a little bit about you. We know our audience loves to hear about our members' backgrounds prior to Rotary.
Yeah, so I started in Rotary. I was invited by the hospital administrator down in Winter Park, Florida. And I had just moved there. I had just started a business, small business, doing consulting with nonprofits around continuous improvement. And I was doing a strategic planning retreat for the local museum, of which this gentleman served on their board. He was their board chair. And in one of our breaks, he asked me, have you ever considered joining Rotary? And at the time, I had been traveling a bunch for the prior 16 years. I was traveling almost every week, so I really didn't feel like I could join Rotary and be involved because I was traveling too much. And when he asked me that question, I ran through my mind. I went, wait a minute, now I can join Rotary. I'm not traveling anymore. I'm working locally. So I joined the Winter Park Rotary. I didn't realize at the time how influential the Winter Park Rotary is. And I joined one of the most influential Rotary clubs in Central Florida. So we had 165 members, and I just thought all Rotary clubs had 165 members, and was a large club, and the mayor and every city council person and the police chief and the fire chief and head of the local utilities, they all belonged. And I just assumed everybody did that. That was, when you read about Rotary's founding, you realize that it was those business leaders who were bringing the talents and the resources of their organizations to bear on community issues. And so I thought every Rotary club was like that. So I was very fortunate to join a large club. Alexandria Central is a small but mighty club, that is for sure. And it's allowing me to use all of my experience serving on the board of the larger club to help this club start to grow.
Oh, you know, and I'm glad to hear you say that. And it's good to hear you say that you have the skill set in continuous improvement, because that's what Rotary is experiencing, I think, right now. You know, we're looking at the future. We're looking at how do we transform our old way of business into the new model that's emerging. And I'm just thankful that you're able to use some of that, because we'll use you as the model in our district.
Well, I had to get used to it too, because the large club model was what I was used to, and that wasn't going to work. We're a hybrid club. We meet twice a month. It's very different than the weekly meetings that I was doing at the large club. So I'm happy about it. I'm funny. I'm a little mixed about the whole thing, because I really see the value of meeting on a weekly basis. I really do. And I realize everyone's super busy and it's hard to get to these things. But I was, by way of contrast, when I was a member of Winter Park Rotary, I was able to do more work in a half hour at the social period of Rotary meeting than I could get done in a week. trying to call and set appointments and go meet these people. All the decision makers were in the room, and I really appreciated that about a
Yeah.
large club. So it was definitely worthwhile for me to join. And then I was membership chair for a while, and we actually had people trying to join the club just because it was so influential, and they wanted to meet all of our members and turn them into customers. And we were on the lookout, though, for folks who didn't live in Winter Park, didn't work in Winter Park, just wanted to come in and use Rotary. And we were trying to prevent that. If you're not living or working in our community, how are you going to come to service projects? That's what we kept pointing out to folks.
And I'm glad you said that, because oftentimes we do get that question. Some people say, well, is this just a place for me to network so that I can get business out of that? And we have to go back and mention just what you talked about, being able to serve the community that you're within. So we still face that question.
We do, and I went at the district convention this past, I just attended the district convention, and I went to one of the business networking sessions because I wanted to hear how others were doing it. And I think it's Bethesda Club is doing essentially a middle of the day from, I want to say it's from 12 to 1:30. So they're doing a little luncheon meeting. They limit it to 25 people. We have an open, Wednesday. We try to do, since we're meeting 2 Wednesdays of the month, and then our board meets on the first Wednesday, and we have an open Wednesday that I could program as a business networking event if I wanted to. I'm thinking about programming it, both a social as well as business networking.
And that's what I was going to ask you. Do you have anything on the horizon that's going to be new under your administration? And you just told us that.
Yeah, I recognize that a lot of folks are coming into Rotary and they're treating it like Business Networking International or other networking like the Chamber of Commerce and that kind of stuff. And I'm real protective of Rotary because we are a service organization. It's nice when we can do business with fellow Rotarians, but it's not our reason for existing is to do business networking. And so I've been a real stickler about it with my club, and talking when folks come in, I talk about how do you plan to help us with service? In what ways can you marshal the resources of your company to help us with service? Are you able to take weekend or a Saturday or a Sunday to do a social or a service project? I want to know that they're joining for the service reasons and not for the business networking reasons, which is perfectly legitimate. We are a network of people, right, and business people, and so I expect us to do business. I like to buy Rotary every opportunity I can buy Rotary. I'll go out of my way to buy Rotary for sure. Absolutely. But it's not the purpose of Rotary.
Yeah. So tell us about your club, the size. When you said you meet twice a month, when, with time, where?
Yeah, so we meet on the 2nd and 4th Wednesdays at Glory Days Grill on Duke Street. That's 3141 Duke Street. We meet at 6 o'clock for a social hour, and then 7 o'clock is when our meeting begins. We have a meal. It's not a formal meal that's served to us. We just order from the menu, and the server gives you your check at the end. I like the cadence of meeting 2 times a month. That gives us the freedom. Then our first Wednesday is our board meeting, and the third Wednesday is we just haven't programmed it for any particular purpose, but it was so obvious that we could be using that for social time to actually meet our Rotarians in a social situation and do the kind of networking and business networking that people expect to come from a Rotary membership.
Okay.
The club is around 25 members and was founded in 2018. We're fortunate that we don't have a membership issue, right? We've been solid at around 25 and having a net increase year after year for the last couple of years. What we noticed is that we're getting leads coming from the district, so people are finding Rotary, and then Rotary District is funneling those leads to us in Alexandria. That means we're competing with the other Alexandria clubs that serve this community. We don't it's a friendly competition. We want the member to go find the right club for them. In fact, I was just talking to someone at the district convention, and they were saying, "Well, how do you sell that?" I didn't know who they were, but I didn't know what club they belonged to. And they asked, "Well, how do you talk about the different clubs?" And I went through the 5 clubs that serve Alexandria and gave the personality of each club. And I started with the big Alexandria club, which has been around since the 20s. If you want a large club experience, it's perfect. I mean, it's amazing. They have over 100 members. Yeah, if you want that experience, you can have it. Turns out he was from that club. So I was glad I didn't say anything negative about it. I don't really have, I mean, that's the thing. When I became president-elect, I started talking to the other president-elects because I had heard rumors that there was this like negative, bad blood between the different clubs. Like one club was founded by a member who broke away from that club and all this craziness. And so as I started talking to the other presidents, they all went, "Oh yeah, we want to work together. We want to collaborate. We want to do more together." So as presidents, the 5 club presidents, we're getting together on a regular basis just to chat and figure out how we can help each other.
That's right.
Flags for Heroes was a fundraiser for the large club, so we all jumped in and we all sold flags for them. Now we kept the proceeds. They were very kind to let us raise money through their program, but we're out there promoting their event, promoting their activity, and grateful for it. Absolutely grateful for it.
Absolutely. We used to say in our club, we want the member to join with a club that matches them and their needs and where they need to be. If they're a good Rotarian, we don't want to lose them from Rotary. We don't have to have them in our club. We need them in Rotary.
Exactly. And so I don't have any competition to speak of. I mean, I'm really grateful that we have such a regular supply of folks who are service oriented finding Rotary in Alexandria. And so
absolutely.
We're very fortunate in that regard. Our challenge, frankly, is engagement in how to keep our members engaged and get them out to service projects. That's our challenge. We had some personality disputes in our club recently, and that started to cause some folks to rearrange themselves. So some folks went to other clubs, and we're just working through that. It's sort of part of peace and reconciliation. And so I get a kick out of how Rotary talks about peace and reconciliation on a national basis. And I called the district going, I need some peace and reconciliation in my club.
But the good news is the district has the resources to be able to guide you through that, through that whole thing. We're a volunteer organization, but we also represent, we're a microcosm of the world. So sometimes things go wrong, we just gotta make them right, and our club presidents are doing that. So I commend you for reaching out to the district to ensure that you could resolve the issues that you have in your club, because they are all resolvable.
Well, they are, and when people's, when you use the 4-way test, it solves the problem.
Yes, it does.
And I keep asking people. So when they bring up these issues, I go, well, first of all, is that the truth? Are you telling me the truth, or are you spinning me a little bit to try and get your way?
I'm going to come back to you, but we're going to take a short break and be right back and talk more with President Todd. Please stay with us.
We've been here before, fighting the problems that fight back, because we see opportunities where others see obstacles. We're change makers and problem solvers, uniting over 1 million minds to address complex issues facing communities around the world, including yours. We're working together as partners and professionals while making friendships that last a lifetime. We're Rotary, and there's no limit to what we can do.
Welcome back to the Rotary Times. We are here talking with President Todd Ruopp, the new president of the Rotary Club of Alexandria Central, Virginia, for the 24-25 Rotary year. Wow, just hearing you chat about, improvement, the kinds of things that you all are doing, the kinds of things you are using the system or the district to help you resolve. It just lets us know that there are resources, as a club president, there are resources that you can call upon to do just about anything you need in Rotary. So.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's good to hear.
Yeah, in fact, it's almost too many resources.
Too overwhelming for you.
A little overwhelming, yep.
All righty. Let's talk about your club service, your community service. What are some of the things that you all are involved in?
So our board this year put together, at my request, one of the things that when I came into the club, I realized there were two main philanthropies that we supported here in Alexandria, and they are Computer Corps and Alive. Mm-hmm. Computer Corps teaches folks that have little or no computer skills how to use a computer, and then actually gives them a computer to use in their home for free, so that they can not only help themselves, but help the rest of their family. Mm-hmm. And so it helps people gain new computer skills to help them advance in a career or get on a career track in their life. So we love the work that Computer Corps does, and they have been a recipient of our district designated funds every year for the last 3 years. And they're going to be again this year for mm-hmm. us. So in addition to Computer Corps, there's Alive, which is the local food bank, but does so much more than just food. But they are a great food bank, and it was founded by all the churches in town came together to run a single food bank, mm-hmm. so that they weren't doing that all and effectively kind of splintering the donations and such at each church, forcing the folks who need the help to go from church to church to church. So they have a single organization that does all food banking here in Alexandria, and that's one of our primary philanthropies. So the board sat down and figured out if those were our two primary philanthropies, we should be committing significant resources to them and to their fundraising activities and other service projects. So we set aside, we said we would do one service project a month, and that we would set aside 3 projects for Computer Corps and 3 projects for Alive. In addition to that, then we can go off and do any other service projects we want to do, and I'm programming those in just like I would program our monthly speakers or our meeting speakers.
Oh, right? Wonderful. Great.
So one of the things we're doing for Alive right now is we spent the first quarter at each meeting collecting diapers and wet wipes. The first program we had of the year was Alive, coming and talking about the needs in the community. Mm-hmm. So we heard them talk about, while they want food and they appreciate food, diapers are a real need right now. And so we decided instead of doing a food drive, we would do a diaper drive. Okay. And so our clubs supplemented that, the gifts that everyone brought to our club meetings, with a $500 purchase of additional diapers and wet wipes that we'll deliver this week, actually. I'm excited about that. So I have a bunch of diapers in my office. Then for Computer Corps, in addition to for Alive, we'll stay on them for a moment, they do a walkathon every year, and it happens to correspond to a date, a Sunday in October, so that we're able to actually invite our Interact Club, which we chartered last year, to come and join us for the walkathon. And we're really excited about this because it's the first thing we've been able to do with the Interactors where we can all come together and do something good for someone else.
Oh, wonderful.
And there was 55 people last year who signed up for our Interact Club, which just blew our minds. We were surprised beyond belief. And so we're excited at the upcoming meeting, which just happens to be the meeting where our district governor is attending. We actually have the Interactors coming to present a project that they have come up with that they need funding for. And they need about $4,000 in funding. And they presented it to our board at the last meeting just last week. And so we're all endorsing the effort and the program they have. They're doing a mental health effort to try and build self-esteem and persistence, or I should say perseverance. And so they have a book that was developed by a Rotarian, by a Rotaractor down in North Carolina. You might know Gregor. He was at the district
Oh,
convention.
yes.
So we're going to use Gregor's book at Alexandria City High, and we're going to purchase 400 of those books and use them in 5 classes and use it as a study. So it'll actually be a full research study to see the effectiveness of the book. And we're really excited about that. So on top of all that excitement, we have this, we get to get together with the Rotary or the interactors for a walkathon that supports one of our missions. We get to also help the interactors by purchasing a book that they'll distribute to students at Alexandria City High that helps them do a daily journaling around very specific topics, 42 different topics. And I'm very excited. I met it with Gregor to get to see the book and to, ask all my questions at the district convention. So that
is wonderful. We hope you'll come back maybe at a later date and share some of that, because that right now, mental health, as you know, it's not just amongst adults. It's in our schools. We need to be working with our young people too on mental health awareness. So I'm glad that you're doing that, and I know that's a large high school, so you probably will have a huge impact if you can break down the walls and in that school, because that is that's one high school for that entire city, correct?
It is.
Yeah. So that's a large
about
high
4,000. 4,000 students.
4,000 students. That's huge.
So we're purchasing 200 books. That'll be a small test for them to see, and if it works out, then obviously why wouldn't they put this in everybody's hands?
Absolutely. It's part of your continuous improvement skill set you're using.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And we wanted real data, though. It wasn't this, oh, hey, I feel good, or I get positive reaction to the book. No, we wanted a pre-test, a post-test, so that we could really see the difference we were making in young people's lives.
Absolutely. You can measure that impact. Well, again, we hope you'll come back and share more with the district, around that, because many of our clubs have, high school interact clubs. And if we could maybe do some benchmarking off of what you've done to help get that going, look at the impact we could do across the Northern Virginia region.
Indeed.
So I'm excited to hear you talk about that. So far this year, what's been, or maybe even last year, what's your favorite project?
It's going to be the walkathon. I can tell you that right now, because I'm so fired up for it. But of the last year, the best project or my favorite project is probably weeding gardens. There was a community garden, and so we all got together. Actually had club members, I think, from Mount Vernon Club join us. They're a totally online club, so when they want service projects in person, we encourage them to come to our club and come along. And so we weeded the community garden at the senior center, the St. Martin de Porres Senior Center. And they have a nice garden, a really nice garden. Yeah. So not only were the Rotarians there to do the heavy lifting and that kind of work, but we got a free class on gardening by the master gardener who runs that program. And I took home 2 tomato plants and some irises, and I planted them in my home. So I got a late start on my tomatoes, so the tomatoes are just not coming on. So maybe I'll have tomatoes in October. We'll see.
There you go. I'm going to wish you well on that one.
Thank you.
Keep us posted. And if you have too many, you know where to find us around, the district.
Indeed.
Fairly quickly, before we close out, what might be a message you would send to those individuals who may be watching right now, who may be thinking about Rotary and what you just said?
Yeah, for me, it's all about service. So, if anything that I've talked about so far inspires you, then I invite you to go to Rotary.org and find a Rotary Club near you, so that you can experience the joy and the satisfaction that comes from being able to solve problems in your community. I found that folks were being a little too focused on themselves when I got to my club, right? They were kind of fighting amongst themselves, and I reminded them that we're a service organization, and what matters more is what's happening outside our club. And that I'm using those service projects as the rallying point to remind everybody that we're a service organization. And so that's what gives me great joy about Rotary and being a Rotarian, is to know the impact that Rotary is having worldwide. And at any point in time, if I meet somebody and they need help, I can say there's a Rotary Club nearby. You should just go approach their board of directors about helping your cause. Yeah. And I just met a woman at we were doing an outreach event during one of the festivals here in Alexandria. And she's actually in Indonesia, but she's a professor from Hawaii. She was visiting here. She finds the Rotary booth. She's talking about that she's trying to reduce the number of children who die from being stung by jellyfish in this part of Indonesia. And she's like, I don't know where to go. And I said, you go to Rotary. And your local Rotary Club. And so I'm in the process, she gave me her card. I'm in the process of making that connection so that the local Rotary Club knows that we're paying attention and we want to see them do something on this. There's a real issue in Indonesia. With this particular.
Well, we're going to invite you back later to chat about that. But we want to thank you for being here this afternoon and coming on board, and we'll hope to bring you back at another time. All righty? Thank you.
Thank you so much.
For the Rotary Times program, I'm your host, Rotarian Dr. Deborah Jackson from the Rotary Club of McLean, Virginia. You're welcome to join us at a Rotary Club in your area for either breakfast, lunch, dinner, or service project. You can find a club near you by looking us up on the internet or by looking us up for a service project. Many of our clubs are hosted virtually or in hybrid format. You only need to look us up. Remember, our time is your time, and it's time well spent. Please join us for our next program as we continue to celebrate Rotary's 118 years of service. Funding for this program is made possible by the generosity of Rotarian Lynn Heinrichs, State Farm Agency, McLean, Virginia.